Hey there! You find yourself standing in the heart of a medieval Silk Road city, late in the 12th century, where the night air hums with 1,000 secret deals. Lanterns flicker, casting golden halos over the faces of merchants who measure fortunes by the handful and trust by the ounce. Imagine the gentle hush before a storm. Only here, it's the pause before a trade that could change the fate of kingdoms. Tonight, you're about to discover a twist in the tale, one that starts with a single gold coin and ends with a revelation that even the sharpest traders never saw coming. If you enjoy being swept into mysteries like this, hit like and subscribe if you truly want more, and drop a comment with where you're watching from and what time it is. Let's see how many night owls and early risers are tuning in from around the world. Now, dim the lights, settle in, and let the sense of spice and the jingle of ancient coins guide you into our story. You step into the bazaar, where the calls of traders blend with the clatter of hooves and the occasional shout of a guard. The scent of cinnamon and dust hangs thick, mixing with the sharper tang of sweat and anticipation. Every stall is a stage, and every merchant an actor playing for keeps. You clutch your pouch tightly, feeling the cool press of gold coins against your palm. Here, wealth is measured not just in metal, but in secrets and alliances. To your left, a Persian silk merchant haggles with a Sogdian spice dealer, their voices rising and falling like a duet of suspicion. The silk shimmers in the lamplight, but your eyes are drawn to a pile of battered gold coins on the table between them. One coin, larger than the rest, glints oddly. Its surface is marked with strange, looping script that looks almost Arabic, but not quite right. The merchant notices your gaze and slides the coin toward you, his smile sly. "Manouche," he whispers, using a word you've only heard in hushed tones among the city's elite. It means gold dinar in the old Arabic tongue, but here it's a password for something rarer, wealth with a story. You pick up the manus coin. It's heavier than you expect, its warmth hinting at countless hands and countless deals. The script is off, the letters twisted in ways that no true scribe would dare. You turn it over in your fingers, feeling a prickle of unease. The merchant leans in, his breath spiced with cardamom. "Not all gold is what it seems," he murmurs, eyes darting to the shadows at the edge of the stall. A hush falls as a group of foreign knights stride past, their armor clinking and eyes sharp beneath heavy brows. They pause at a stall nearby, speaking in clipped Latin. You catch a fragment, hostages, and the word sends a ripple through the crowd. Rumor has it that crusaders, desperate to protect their own, have begun taking high noblemen hostage, trading their freedom for safe passage across these treacherous lands. C399, CC9. The stakes here are not just gold, but lives. You slip deeper into the market, the manus coin burning a hole in your palm. A sudden commotion breaks out near the money changer's stall. A young apprentice has collapsed, gasping for breath, his face turning pale as the crowd surges back. Someone shouts about hydrocution syndrome, a rare, deadly shock that can strike when cold water meets warm skin, causing an involuntary gasp and, sometimes, drowning even on dry land. C62FABA. The fear is palpable. Even the bravest traders know that fate here can turn in an instant. You edge closer to the counting house, where candles gutter in the draught, and ledgers sprawl across battered tables. The head money changer, A wiry man with ink-stained fingers examines the manus coin under a glass. He frowns, tracing the odd script. "This is no true dinar," he mutters. "The letters are wrong. See here, here, and here." Whoever struck this coin did not understand Arabic, only copied its looks. C343EFO. The implication is clear. Someone, somewhere, is faking the very currency that holds this city together. Outside, the wind picks up, carrying the scent of distant fires and the low murmur of a caravan arriving at the city gates. You step away from the counting house, the manus coin still in your grasp. The city feels different now, less a place of opportunity, more a web of hidden dangers. Every shadow could hide a thief. Every smile could mask a lie. You remember the merchant's warning, not all gold is what it seems. A sudden shout draws your attention to a narrow alley behind the spice stalls. Two men argue over a chest, their words sharp and urgent. One gestures at the coin in your hand, eyes wide with recognition. You realize too late that the manus coin is more than just a curiosity. It's a key, or perhaps a curse. The men lunge, but you duck aside, heart pounding as you slip into the press of the crowd. The coin's weight feels heavier now, as if it carries the secrets of the city itself. You make your way toward the caravanserai, where travelers gather under the watchful eyes of armed guards. The air is thick with the scent of roasting meat and the low hum of 100 languages. You find a quiet corner and examine the manus coin again. The errors in the script nag at you. Why would someone risk forging a coin in a city where every detail is scrutinized? The answer, you suspect, lies not in greed, but in desperation. A grizzled caravan master joins you, his cloak dusted with the red sand of the steppe. He eyes the coin and snorts. "Seen 1,000 like it," he says. "Some say the forgers are out in the ruins, hiding from the Khan's men. Others think it's a plot by rival cities to flood the market with bad gold." He shrugs, but his gaze lingers on the coin, wary. The city's wealth and its safety depend on trust, and trust is in short supply tonight. As the night deepens, you hear stories whispered over cups of spiced wine. Some say the manus coins are cursed, bringing ruin to those who hold them. Others claim they're a secret code, a way for rebels to signal each other in the chaos of the bazaar. You listen, filing each rumor away, knowing that every tale contains a grain of truth and a mountain of danger. The wind rattles the shutters of the caravanserai. You slip outside, drawn by the glow of a lantern in a nearby alley. There, a scribe sits hunched over a table, copying names into a ledger. He glances up as you approach, eyes sharp behind thick brows. "Looking for answers?" he asks, nodding at the manus coin. You nod, and he gestures for you to sit. "The script is wrong because the forger was not from here," he says quietly. "He copied what he saw, not what he understood." The words echo in your mind as you leave, the city's secrets pressing in from all sides. Back in the bazaar, the crowd has thinned, but the tension remains. You pass a group of children playing at being merchants, their laughter a bright note in the gloom. One child holds up a battered coin, shouting, "Manush! Manush!" The others scatter, pretending to chase a thief. Even in play, The stakes are clear. Trust the wrong person, and you lose everything. You wander past the old city walls, where the stones are slick with dew, and the air smells of cold earth. The Manus coin is still in your hand, its surface worn smooth by centuries of trade and betrayal. You think of the noble hostages, the forged coins, the whispered curses. Every choice here is a crossroads, every path a gamble. The city is a living puzzle, and tonight you're one piece among many. A bell tolls in the distance, signaling the closing of the gates. You hurry back toward the heart of the city, the Manus coin tucked safely away. The market is nearly empty now, but a few stubborn traders linger, hoping for one last deal. You catch a glimpse of the merchant who first gave you the coin, his eyes meeting yours across the square. He nods, as if to say, the story isn't over yet. You pause at the edge of the bazaar, the night air cool against your skin. The city is quiet, but the secrets you've uncovered buzz in your mind. The Manus coin, the forged script, the hostages, all threads in a tapestry of intrigue and danger. You wonder what tomorrow will bring, and whether you'll find answers or only more questions. As you turn to leave, a sudden gust of wind scatters a pile of coins at your feet. You stoop to gather them, noticing that some bear the same strange script as your Manus coin. You pocket them quickly, heart racing. The city may be asleep, but its mysteries are wide awake. Samarkand, late 12th century. You're wedged between a camel's flank and a heap of saffron sacks. Merchants jostle around you, their voices rising like the call to prayer, all eyes fixed on your hand. In your palm, a Manus coin gleams, its gold surface worn smooth by years of anxious fingers. The inscription is crooked, almost playful, as if the engraver had copied a language he'd only glimpsed in passing. A money changer with a beard like a scrub brush squints at it, tapping the edge with a practiced thumb. He mutters about its weight, the odd tilt of the script, and the way the letters seem to dance instead of march. Every trader nearby has a theory, but none can pin down its birthplace. The word Manus itself is a riddle, passed from tongue to tongue like a secret code. Some say it echoes Manush, a word whispered by old men who remember the first gold coins to cross these sands. You sense this coin is more than a bit of gold. It's a story. And you're holding the prologue. The crowd thickens, drawn by the scent of mystery and profit. You catch snatches of debate in Persian, Turkic, and Arabic. One silk-robed merchant claims the coin is a forgery, made by someone who couldn't read Arabic, but wanted to mimic its prestige. Another, fingers stained with indigo, insists Manus is a bastardization of Manush, a term for Islamic gold dinars that once dazzled the bazaars from Cairo to Kashgar. The coin's errors are obvious to those who know their scripts. The curves are off, the dots misplaced, the flow disrupted. It's as if the engraver was copying the holy text by moonlight, guessing at the words. You wonder how many hands have passed this coin, each adding a layer of rumor and hope. A hush falls as an old Armenian banker steps forward. He cradles the coin, eyes narrowed, lips moving silently as he traces the inscription. He recalls tales of crusaders who took noblemen hostage, demanding gold as ransom, and melting down whatever coins they could find. Perhaps, he suggests, This manus was born in a moment of desperation. Its script, a clumsy echo of Arabic, hammered out by a Frankish goldsmith who knew the shape but not the soul of the language. The crowd leans in, hungry for scandal. The banker's theory hangs in the air, heavy as incense. You can almost hear the clash of swords and the clink of coins in a distant, torchlit tent. Suddenly, a gust of cold wind sweeps through the bazaar, rattling lanterns and sending a shiver through the crowd. The spice merchant beside you pulls his cloak tighter and whispers about hydrocution syndrome. A sudden gasp, a drowning in cold water, a fate that can strike even the strongest traveler. He says it's a reminder that fortune on the Silk Road is as fickle as the weather. One moment you're rich, the next you're gasping for breath, your treasures slipping away. The coin in your hand feels heavier, as if it carries the weight of lost lives and broken deals. You tuck it into your sash, heart pounding. Every object here is a gamble, every deal a risk. A group of Sogdian traders huddle nearby, their voices low and urgent. They argue that the coin's errors are not mere mistakes, but deliberate signals. In a world where every city has its own mint, a crooked script might be a code, a way to mark safe passage or signal allegiance. You imagine a caravan leader, fingers numb with cold, pressing the coin into a rival's palm as a silent promise. The Sogdians trade glances, wary of spies. The bazaar is alive with secrets, each coin a cipher in a language of survival. The tension is palpable, like the hush before a sandstorm. As you edge away, a young boy darts past, snatching a handful of figs from a vendor's stall. The vendor curses, but the boy is gone, swallowed by the crowd. You catch yourself smiling. Here, even children know the value of quick hands and quicker feet. The manus coin burns against your skin, a reminder that everyone on the Silk Road is both hunter and hunted. The lines between merchant, thief, and spy blur in the flickering candlelight. You move on, senses sharpened, every shadow a potential ally or enemy. You slip into a candlelit counting house, the air thick with the scent of old parchment and melted wax. Ledgers line the walls, their pages filled with names, debts, and promises. A scribe in a faded blue robe peers at your coin, brow furrowed. He flips through a battered ledger, searching for a match. The names blur together. Khwarezm, Bokhara, Merv. Each city a memory, each coin a clue. The scribe shakes his head. No record. He shrugs, but you sense a flicker of excitement in his eyes. The unknown is worth more than gold here. Outside, the bazaar hums with renewed energy. News of your coin has spread, drawing in fortune seekers like moths to flame. A caravan master approaches, his boots caked with dust from 100 leagues. He offers you a deal, 3 boats of silk for the manus, no questions asked. You hesitate, weighing the risk. Silk is safe, but the coin is a key to something bigger. You refuse, and the master's eyes narrow. He warns you that not every mystery is meant to be solved. Some doors, he says, are best left closed. Night falls, and the market transforms. Lanterns sway overhead, casting gold and crimson shadows across the stalls. The air is thick with the scent of cardamom and roasting lamb. You slip through the crowd, every sense alert. Somewhere nearby, A musician plucks a mournful tune on a rebab, the notes curling like smoke. You feel the weight of history pressing in, the sense that you're walking a tightrope between fortune and disaster. The manus coin pulses in your pocket, alive with possibility. At the edge of the market, you find an old woman selling amulets and scraps of parchment. She peers at your coin, her eyes sharp as a hawk's. She tells you that manuses is not a word, but a warning. In her village, she says, coins like these were buried with the dead, a bribe for the ferryman on the river of souls. She presses a talisman into your hand, a scrap of silk knotted around a pebble. For luck, she says. You feel a chill, as if unseen eyes are watching. A sudden commotion erupts near the city gate. Soldiers in battered armor are dragging a group of foreigners toward the palace. The crowd surges, eager for a glimpse. You catch a fragment of conversation. Crusaders, hostages, ransom. The air crackles with tension. You realize that every coin, every deal, is tangled in a web of alliances and betrayals. The manus may have been minted in haste, a desperate attempt to buy freedom or favor. Its crooked script is a testament to chaos, not carelessness. You tuck it deeper into your sash, the stakes rising with every heartbeat. You duck into a shadowy caravanserai, the air cool and thick with the scent of damp stone and old sweat. Travelers huddle over bowls of lentils, their faces half hidden in the bloom. A Persian merchant gestures for you to join him. He tells you that coins, like yours, were sometimes used as secret tokens, slipped between allies to signal trust. The errors, he insists, are intentional, a way to prove authenticity in a world of perfect forgeries. You sip bitter tea that tastes sharp on your tongue. The merchant's story lingers, twisting your understanding of the coin. Outside, the wind picks up, carrying the scent of distant rain. You pull your cloak tighter, the manus coin pressing against your hip. Every step feels heavier, each shadow more threatening. The city's walls loom ahead, ancient and unyielding. You wonder how many secrets are buried beneath its stones. The coin is a puzzle, its meaning shifting with every story you hear. You sense that the truth is close, just out of reach. It's late in the 12th century, and you're standing before the palace gates of Otra, the city that sits like a jeweled clasp between desert and steppe. Silk banners snap overhead, bright against a sky the color of hammered tin. Traders from Samarkand, Kashgar, and distant Venice jostle around you, their voices rising and falling like the wind that carries the scent of cumin and cold river water. The guards watch, bored but alert, as you and the others are summoned. Today, the ruler's mood is the weather, and you're about to step into the storm. Inside the gate, the world shifts. The stone underfoot is patched and uneven, old blocks scored by fire and new ones that don't quite fit. Every siege leaves a scar, and every ruler's whim leaves a patch. You pass through an archway where a mosaic of turquoise and gold has been hastily repaired with plain clay tiles. It's beautiful, but you can't ignore the cracks. Ahead, the palace looms, its doors open just wide enough to swallow the next round of hopefuls. You're herded into a courtyard where a dozen traders stand in uneasy silence. The air is thick with anxiety and the perfume of cardamom. You catch the eye of a man from Bukhara who clutches a leather pouch so tightly his knuckles blanch. Somewhere, A pigeon coos, oblivious to the drama. The ruler's steward appears, his robes heavy with embroidery, and calls your name. You step forward, heart thudding, aware that one wrong word could see you banished or worse. The throne room is dim, lit by lamps that flicker in the draught. The ruler sits atop a dais, his face unreadable. He's known for generosity when it suits him, and for sudden, ruthless reversals. You remember the story of a caravan master who lost his entire fortune with a single misstep. The ruler's eyes linger on a tray of coins at his elbow, each one gleaming in the uncertain light. You notice something odd. One of the coins bears an inscription that looks almost like Arabic, but the letters twist in strange directions. It's a detail that would escape most, but you know enough to spot the error. The designer clearly didn't understand the script, and the result is both comical and dangerous. A mistake like that could insult the wrong guest, or worse, signal weakness to rivals. The ruler's thumb traces the coin's edge, and you wonder if he's noticed. Your turn comes. You bow, offering a bolt of silk so fine it shimmers even in the gloom. The ruler leans forward, inspecting the weave with a practiced eye. He asks about your journey. How many days from Samarkand? How many camels lost to the cold? You answer carefully, keeping your tone respectful, but not servile. He nods, then gestures to the tray of coins. He wants to pay in gold dinars, but calls them manush, the local word for Islamic coinage. The term carries weight here, a sign that the city's fortunes are tied not just to trade, but to faith and shifting alliances. You accept the coins, noting again the flawed inscription. The gold is real, but the message is muddled. It's a reminder that even wealth can be uncertain when rulers gamble with symbols and language. As you step back, another trader is called forward. This one brings spices, cinnamon, black pepper, a pinch of something sharp and unfamiliar. The ruler's mood shifts, and he laughs at a joke you don't catch. The tension in the room breaks, but only for a moment. You glance at the guards, who stand with hands on their swords. The city's fate, you realize, is as fragile as the trust between these strangers. One bad bargain, one careless word, and everything could change. A sudden commotion at the door interrupts the proceedings. Two men stumble in, soaked and shivering. They've been pulled from the river, and their lips are blue. The steward mutters about hydrocution. The shock of cold water can cause an involuntary gasp, leading even strong swimmers to drown. The ruler waves a hand, dismissing them as unlucky. But you see the traders exchange uneasy glances. If fate can turn so quickly for them, what about you? The city's walls may be thick, but safety is an illusion. The ruler stands, signaling the end of the audience. You're herded out, coins clinking in your pouch. Outside, the wind bites at your face, carrying the smell of roasting lamb and wet earth. You pass the counting house, where clerks tally debts by candlelight, their fingers stained with ink and worry. You hear whispers about the last siege, how the defenders patched the walls with whatever they had, even old tombstones. The city endures, but only just. You make your way through the bazaar, past stalls selling everything from jade bracelets to dried apricots. The market is a riot of colour and sound. A boy hawks saffron, his voice cracking with excitement. A woman sells amulets said to ward off betrayal. You pause at a money changer's booth, where coins from every corner of the Silk Road pile up in messy heaps. You spot another flawed dinar, its inscription almost right, but not quite. The money changer shrugs. Sometimes, he says, the rulers don't care as long as the gold is real. But you know better. Every mistake is a message, and messages have a way of traveling faster than caravans. As dusk falls, the city changes. Shadows creep across the walls, and the laughter in the taverns grows louder. You duck into a caravanserai, grateful for the warmth and shelter. Merchants huddle over bowls of stew, trading stories and secrets. You overhear a tale about crusaders who once passed through, taking noble hostages to ensure their own safety. The memory hangs in the air, a reminder that trust is a rare and dangerous currency. The city's fortunes rise and fall on such bargains, and tonight you're just another piece on the board. You settle onto a woven mat, the day's tension knotting your shoulders. The gold coins in your pouch feel heavier than before. You wonder who will rule tomorrow and whether the city's patched walls will hold. Outside, the wind rattles the shutters, and somewhere a bell tolls the hour. You close your eyes, but sleep is slow to come. The scent of spices lingers, mingling with the cold. In the silence you realize that every choice, every word, every coin, every patch in the wall writes a new line in the city's story. And you're part of it, for better or worse. The palace gate stands silent now. Banners limp in the night air. The city breathes, restless and uncertain. Tomorrow, you'll return to the counting house, where noble hostages are exchanged in a ritual as old as the road itself. For now, you listen to the hush before the next deal, knowing that history is written not just by rulers, but by traders like you, caught between fortune and disaster. Inside the gate, the world shifts. You stand in the candle-lit counting house, the air thick with the scent of tallow and old ledgers, as a procession of armored crusaders shuffle in, their boots scraping the packed earth floor. Flickering shadows leap across the walls, dancing over piles of coin and parchment. As a hush settles, the ritual is about to begin. Across the room, a cluster of high-born captives, faces pale, eyes darting, wait in silence, their silks and chains catching the low light. You can almost taste the tension, sharper than the tang of iron keys clutched in a sweating hand. The stakes here are brutal, one broken promise, and not just fortunes, but futures, unravel in an instant. A bearded Venetian notary, quill poised, watches the crusaders with the wary patience of a cat eyeing a pack of dogs. He nods to the Saracen envoy, who signals for the hostages to be brought forward. The exchange is silent, save for the soft clink of manacles and the scratch of ink on parchment. You notice a pattern. Each side offers up its most valuable pawns, not just for leverage, but as living insurance policies. Trust, here, is a currency as volatile as the gold coins stacked on the table. The coins themselves are a puzzle. You pick one up, its face worn smooth by countless hands, and squint at the strange script. The Crusaders call them manus, but the Saracens whisper manush, a word that, in their tongue, means the gold dinars that fuel this entire shadow game. The notary frowns, tracing the looping lines with his finger. The letters are oddly shaped, some backwards, others floating free, as if the designer never learned to write Arabic at all. You wonder if this was a deliberate trick, or just ignorance masquerading as authority. A merchant beside you mutters that the term Manases must have come from Manush, though no one seems certain. Coins cross the table, each one a silent promise, but you sense that every transaction is a gamble. The errors in the script are glaring, missing dots, crooked strokes, suggesting the minter was copying blindly, more concerned with the illusion of legitimacy than the details of language. The Saracen envoy smirks, as if in on the joke, while the Crusaders count each coin with the suspicion of men who trust nothing but cold metal. Suddenly, a commotion erupts outside. A young page bursts in, cheeks flushed, shouting about a missing ledger and a runaway groom. The counting house erupts into chaos, ledgers snapping shut, voices rising in a dozen languages. You duck as a crate of spices topples, filling the air with the sharp tang of cumin and cardamom. In the confusion, one of the hostages slips his bonds and bolts for the door, only to be tackled by a hulking mercenary. For a moment, the fragile trust teeters on the edge of disaster. The notary slams his fist on the table, demanding order. The Saracen envoy raises a hand, his rings glinting in the candlelight, and the room quiets. The ritual resumes, but you sense the balance has shifted. Every eye in the room flickers with new suspicion. The Crusaders tighten their grip on their swords, while the Saracens whisper behind their hands. You feel the cold wind of the steppe sneaking through the cracks, a reminder that outside these walls, mercy is rare and treachery common. You edge closer to the ledgers, scanning the columns of numbers and names. Each entry tells a story, ransoms paid, debts incurred, alliances forged and broken. One line catches your eye, a payment for hydrocution insurance. The notary explains, in a low voice, that some hostages drowned before the exchange could be completed. He describes hydrocution syndrome, a sudden gasp in cold water that can turn a river crossing fatal. You shiver, imagining the icy grip of the current, the panic of lungs filling with water. A Saracen merchant leans in, offering you a handful of coins. He whispers that the real power lies not in gold, but in the secrets these coins carry. Each error in the script is a clue, he insists, a map of who controlled the mints and who faked their own currency. You pocket the coins, feeling their weight, a reminder that every transaction here is layered with risk and hidden meaning. The merchant grins, teeth flashing, and slips away into the shadows. The hostages are led away, their fate uncertain. Some will be ransomed, others traded again like chess pieces on a board that stretches from Antioch to Samarkand. The Crusaders argue over the value of each captive, their voices sharp with fear and greed. You watch as a noblewoman, her wrists bruised, stares down her captors with icy defiance. Her silence is louder than any threat, a promise that she will not be broken. Outside, the wind howls through the alleys, carrying the scent of roasting lamb and burning cedar. You step into the night, the counting house behind you, and feel the city pulse with secrets. Every shadow hides a deal, every doorway a potential betrayal. You pass a group of traders haggling over a bolt of silk their laughter brittle and forced. The stakes are higher than ever, and trust is in shorter supply than salt in a desert caravan. You pause at a fountain, watching the moonlight ripple across the water. A child darts past, clutching a silver coin, pursued by a red-faced merchant. The city never sleeps. Its heart beats to the rhythm of deals made and broken. You feel the weight of your own choices, the knowledge that one misstep could cost you everything. The river is near, its surface black and cold, a reminder of the dangers that wait beyond the city walls. A caravan arrives at the gate, camels snorting, their breath steaming in the chill night air. The guards demand a toll, waving their torches and barking orders. You slip through the crowd, blending in with the throng of travelers and merchants. The road ahead is uncertain, but the promise of fortune and the threat of betrayal pulls you onward. You glance back at the counting house, its windows glowing like watchful eyes. Inside, the notary counts the coins again, lips moving in silent calculation. The Saracen envoy drinks spiced wine, his gaze fixed on the door. The hostages are gone, but their absence lingers, a ghost in the flickering candlelight. You wonder how many deals will unravel before dawn, how many fortunes will vanish with the morning mist. The city is alive with possibility, but danger lurks at every turn. You make your way to the caravanserai, the great stone inn that shelters travelers from every corner of the Silk Road. The courtyard is crowded with pack animals and weary men, their faces drawn by the long journey. You find a place by the fire, warming your hands as a storyteller spins tales of lost cities and vanished gold. The flames cast strange shapes on the walls, and you listen, half dreaming, to the music of distant bells and the crackle of burning wood. A trader from Samarkand offers you a cup of sour wine, his eyes bright with mischief. He boasts of a coin so rare it can buy a kingdom, then laughs, revealing a mouthful of broken teeth. You trade stories, each one more improbable than the last, until the fire burns low and the shadows grow long. The night is thick with secrets, and you sense that every tale hides a kernel of truth. Later, you slip away to the stables, drawn by the restless snorts of the horses. A stable boy tells you of a nobleman who vanished in the night, leaving only a trail of gold coins and a torn cloak. You follow the clues, piecing together the story, a ransom gone wrong, a betrayal in the dark, a desperate flight through the city gates. The coins you collected earlier seem heavier now, their errors marking them as tokens of a failed bargain. You return to the counting house just as the first light of dawn creeps through the shutters. The notary is gone, the ledgers locked away, but the memory of the night's bargains lingers in the air. You realize that survival here is not just about gold or power, but about reading the hidden signs, the way a coin is stamped, the tone of a voice, the flicker of an eye. Trust is always for sale, but its price changes with every sunrise. Dawn breaks cold along the Anatolian riverbank, your breath fogging as you pick your way past shattered wagons and sodden bolts of silk. Yesterday, this crossing was alive with shouts and haggling, the clink of coins and the creak of camel harnesses. Now, it's eerily quiet, except for the rush of water and the occasional groan of wood giving way. The river has claimed its due. You're not alone, traders, porters, and a cluster of local villagers gather, faces drawn, eyes darting between the wreckage and the swollen current. Someone mutters about sabotage, but most just stare at the lost cargo, as if willing fortunes to float back to shore. You crouch beside a broken chest, its contents spilled in the mud. Gold coins catch the new light, their surfaces dulled by silt. A merchant beside you curses in Persian, then in Greek, as he tries to salvage what he can. The coins are stamped with unfamiliar marks, Arabic script, but oddly shaped. You rub one clean. The word manush glimmers faintly, the letters awkward, as if copied by someone guessing at their meaning. The merchant snorts. "These are no true dinars," he says. "Not even a child would write like this." Your fingers are numb, but curiosity burns brighter than the cold. The term manuses comes up in the chatter, always linked to these odd coins. Some say it's a local word, but a wizened money changer insists it's borrowed from Arabic manush, the name for Islamic gold coins traded from Samarkand to Baghdad. But here the script is clumsy. It's as if the die-cutter never learned the language, only copied what he saw on passing coins. The errors are obvious, even to your untrained eye. The letters twist, some backwards, others missing altogether. This isn't just bad luck. It's a sign of a city trying to fake its way into the big leagues of medieval finance. The stakes are clear. If the currency fails, the city's fortune sinks with it. A sudden shout pulls you upright. Downstream, a battered crate bobs against a sandbar. 2 porters wade out, hauling it back with a rope. Inside, more coins, some real, some counterfeit, all mixed together like a gambler's last desperate bet. You watch as traders argue over each piece, weighing them, biting the edges, sniffing for the scent of real gold. The air is thick with suspicion. Every coin is a question. Who made it, and why? The river doesn't answer, but the tension is sharp as a drawn blade. You wander upriver, boots squelching in the muck, and find yourself at the edge of the old bazaar. Yesterday, this was chaos. Spices, wool, glass beads, and the constant drone of bargaining. Now, only a few stalls remain, their owners guarding what little survived the flood. The scent of cinnamon and pepper lingers, mingled with the sharp tang of wet stone. You duck into a candle-lit counting house, its walls lined with ledgers and jars of coins. The scribe inside looks up, eyes rimmed red from lack of sleep. He slides a battered ledger across the table. "We lost a year's profit overnight," he says. The river takes, but it also reveals. You flip through the ledger. Names of merchants, lists of cargo, and a column of mysterious payments. The word hostage appears, circled in ink. The scribe leans close, voice barely above a whisper. "The Crusaders took noblemen as insurance," he murmurs. "They wanted safe passage, but someone paid them off with these." He gestures at the misshapen coins. You realize the stakes aren't just wealth, they're power, leverage, and survival. Every coin is a promise or a threat. A gust of wind rattles the shutters. You step outside and the cold bites deeper. The river's surface shimmers, reflecting the gold of dawn and the glint of scattered coins. The hush before a deal or a disaster hangs over the ruins. Somewhere upriver, a bell tolls. You picture the city's rulers, pacing candlelit halls, weighing their next move. One wrong choice, and their city could vanish beneath the sands, remembered only by the river and its secrets. A trader sidles up, cloak pulled tight. He offers you a handful of coins, eyes darting. "Take them," he urges. "Spend them before anyone looks too closely." The irony isn't lost on you. In a place built on trust, the currency is a lie. Yet life must go on. You pocket the coins, their weight oddly comforting, and wonder how many hands they'll pass through before the truth catches up. You drift back to the river, watching as the sun climbs higher. The air is full of tension and the scent of wet earth. A young boy skips stones, each splash echoing the day's losses. You feel the hush before something new, a deal, a betrayal, or perhaps the slow rebuilding of a lost city. The river remembers every mistake, every gamble, every secret buried in its shifting sands. You shoulder your pack, coins rattling, and step onto the road. The next crossroads awaits, and with it another unsolved mystery. Night presses in as you duck beneath a low lintel, the forge's glow flickering on your face. It's the late 12th century, and you're shoulder to shoulder with traders from every corner of the Silk Road. Sparks leap from the anvil as a blacksmith hammers out another blade, the clang echoing of stone. In your hands you heft a Frankish sword etched with the word Ulfbert. The letters shimmer, sharp and proud, as if daring you to believe their promise. Around you, merchants murmur in a dozen tongues, eyes darting between your prize and their own battered wares. The air is thick with the scent of hot iron, sweat, and a hint of cardamom drifting from a nearby spice stall. You feel the weight of envy and suspicion pressing in. Ulfbert's swords are legend, supposedly forged for kings. Their steel so pure it slices through armor like a knife through honeyed figs. But here, in this smoky bazaar, every treasure is a gamble. Some blades are genuine, their metal singing with each swing. Others are clever fakes, brittle as old bone, sold by men who can outlie a court jester. A merchant sidles up, gold tooth glinting. "That blade," he whispers, "could buy you a caravan." He leans closer, lowering his voice. "Or a coffin, if it snaps in battle." You glance down, tracing the Ulfbert inscription with your thumb. The letters seem flawless, but so do the counterfeits flooding the market. Prestige and deception walk hand in hand here, and every choice could make or break your fortune. The blacksmith wipes his brow, watching you with an expression that's all calculation. He knows the rumors. Some say the secret of Ulfbert's steel lies in the rivers of the north, where bog iron is richer than a sultan's ransom. Others claim it's the work of Christian monks, smuggling knowledge across borders tighter than a miser's purse. You wonder how many blades here are true, and how many are traps waiting to snap at the worst possible moment. A gust of cold wind sweeps through the open door, carrying the sharp tang of snow from distant mountains. You shiver, remembering tales of traders ambushed on the steppe, their swords shattering in the first clash. The stakes are higher than a game of dice with a Venetian banker. One wrong move, and you could lose everything. Your coin, your cargo, even your head. Yet, as you weigh the sword, a new voice cuts through the clamour. A scholar in a patched robe, nose dusted with soot, points to the blade and mutters in Arabic. Manus, he says, nodding sagely. The word is unfamiliar, but it pricks your curiosity. He explains in halting Latin that manus is believed to come from the Arabic manush, a term once used for Islamic gold dinars. You blink, surprised. What does a sword have to do with coins minted 1,000 miles away? The answer, it turns out, is tangled in the web of Silk Road trade. Gold dinars were the currency of choice for centuries, their weight and purity trusted from Cordoba to Samarkand. But in these bazaars, gold is more than money. It's a symbol, a promise, a weapon in its own right. Some say that the Ulfbert name itself became a kind of currency, an emblem stamped on blades to guarantee quality, just as caliphs stamped their coins with holy verses. You turn the sword over, feeling the cold steel bite your palm. The scholar gestures to the inscription again. He claims some local smiths began forging their own Ulfberts, copying the mark to fool unwary buyers. The market is awash in fakes, each one a little more convincing than the last. It's a game of cat and mouse, with fortunes made and lost on a single letter's curve. A trader from the west, his cloak heavy with dust, sidles up and offers you a deal. He'll swap the sword for a pouch of gold dinars, each coin stamped with the word manush. You hesitate. The coins gleam, but you know their journey has been perilous. Stories swirl about crusaders taking high noblemen hostage, ransoming them for treasure and safe passage. Every coin in your hand might carry a tale of betrayal or blood. The bazaar's noise rises, a chorus of haggling voices and clinking metal. You smell roasted lamb, cumin, and the faint sweetness of dried apricots. The sensory overload is dizzying. Yet, beneath it all, you sense the hush before a deal is struck or a disaster unfolds. Every trader here is gambling, hedging bets with every handshake and sidelong glance. You weigh your options. If you trust the Western trader, you might walk away rich, sword and coins both in hand. Or you could end up with a blade that snaps at the first sign of trouble, your fortune lost to a clever forgery. The stakes are as real as the cold wind biting your cheeks. You remember the scholar's words about manuses and manush, the way a single word can shift the fate of kingdoms. Suddenly, there's a commotion at the edge of the market. A caravan has arrived, its camels laden with silks and spices. The crowd surges, eager for news from distant lands. You catch fragments of conversation, rumors of new routes, lost cities, and treasures buried beneath shifting sands. The thrill of discovery hangs in the air, electric and dangerous. A young apprentice rushes past, nearly knocking you aside. He's clutching a handful of broken blades, muttering curses in 3 languages. You realize how fragile this world is. One moment, you're a merchant on the rise. The next, you're ruined by a single flaw in your wares. The line between triumph and disaster is as thin as the edge of your sword. You retreat to a shadowy corner, the sword still heavy in your grasp. The counting house nearby glows with candlelight, clerks hunched over ledgers. You hear the soft jingle of coins, gold dinars, silver dirhams, copper falls. Money flows like water here, but trust is always in short supply. Every deal is a test of nerves, wit, and luck. A sudden shout draws your attention. Two traders are arguing, voices sharp as drawn daggers. One accuses the other of selling a fake ulfbet, the blade snapping in his hand during a skirmish on the road. The crowd presses in, eager for drama. You edge closer, heart pounding. The accused swears on his mother's grave, but the evidence is damning. A broken blade, the ulfbet name smeared by deceit. You stand at the edge of an abandoned crossroads in the late medieval centuries, cold wind biting your cheeks as the sand creeps over broken walls. The city that once pulsed with life now lies silent, its towers crumbling, its market stalls empty save for the occasional scorpion. The only sound is the low whistle of wind, carrying the scent of old spices and fading glory. You crouch beside a toppled column, running your fingers over a coin half buried in the dust. The metal is warm from the sun, but the inscription looks off, letters twisted, almost foreign. You squint, tracing the script. It's meant to be Arabic, but something's wrong. The curves wobble, the words stumble. You feel a chill that has nothing to do with the wind. Someone minted this without understanding the language at all. A blunder frozen in gold. The locals call it a manus, a word they say comes from the Arabic manush. Though whether that's truth or local legend, nobody agrees. Stories tangle around this coin like vines. Some say manush was the word for Islamic dinars. Others claim it was a nickname for any gold that changed hands in these lawless borderlands. You turn the coin in your palm, feeling the weight of lost intentions. Each misstrike is more than a mistake. It's a sign that the city's rulers gambled with things they didn't understand. You picture the designer hunched over a candlelit desk, copying foreign letters by guesswork, hoping nobody would notice. But the traders noticed. They always do. And the city's fate twisted with every coin that clinked across the market. You walk deeper into the ruins, the sand muffling your steps. The market square is a ghost of itself, but if you close your eyes, you can almost hear the old hustle. Gold coins once glittered in the lamplight, exchanged for silk and pepper, their surfaces catching the shimmer of 1,000 deals. Now only dust settles on the old counting house. There's a story whispered by the elders here. The city's ruler, desperate for power, struck a deal with a distant sultan. The tribute was to be paid in gold, stamped with the right marks. But pride got in the way. Instead of hiring a master minter, the ruler trusted his own scribe. The scribe's hands shook. The script faltered. The tribute arrived, but the sultan's men laughed when they saw the coins. The errors were obvious, the insult plain. The alliance fractured, and the city lost its shield. You can almost feel the tension in the air, the hush before disaster. A breath held too long, waiting for a verdict that never came. The wind picks up, swirling grit around your boots. You duck into the shadow of an old caravanserai, its walls stained with centuries of smoke. Once this place was a haven for travelers, Persian merchants, Mongol scouts, Venetian adventurers. Now only your footsteps echo. You press your back to the cool stone and listen. Somewhere nearby, water drips, echoing like a heartbeat. You remember what the locals say. Pride drowned this city, not in water, but in choices. In the world of trade, a single error can ripple outward, like a gasp that lets water rush in, a hydrocution of fortunes. The city's gamble on faulty coins led to panic in the markets. Traders fled, fearing their wealth would vanish overnight. The silence that followed was not peaceful. It was the quiet after a storm, the hush before the next caravan passed by without stopping. You move through the maze of abandoned alleys, the scent of old spice still clinging to the stones. At a crossroads, you find a battered signpost. It once pointed to distant cities, Samarkand, Kashgar, Baghdad. Now, it points nowhere. You imagine the traders who once haggled here, their voices rising above the din. Some carried gold coins called manush, prized for their shine, but mocked for their errors. Others brought tales of distant lands, warnings of rulers who gambled with alliances and lost. Each empty street is a lesson, a warning etched in stone and dust. You step over a broken amphora and glance back. The city feels both close and impossibly distant. Every choice made here echoes down the centuries, shaping what survives and what becomes legend. A sudden gust rattles the shutters of a ruined counting house. You duck inside, the gloom swallowing you. The air smells of old ink and mildew. On a cracked table, you find a ledger, its pages warped and faded. The writing is cramped, desperate. It lists names, traders, lenders, debts owed and paid. In the margins, someone has doodled coins, each one a little different. Some bear the awkward script you saw before. Others are blank, as if the minter gave up halfway. You run your fingers over the page, feeling the bumps where the ink pooled. The mistakes are as real as the debts. You realize that every error, every gamble, left a mark. The city's pride became its undoing, its gold a curse. The silence outside grows heavier, pressing in. You close the ledger and step back into the fading light, the weight of lost fortunes heavy in your pocket. You climb a crumbling staircase, your boots kicking up dust. At the top, you find a view of the whole city, roofs caved in, streets swallowed by sand. In the distance, the old walls shimmer like a mirage. You think of the choices that shaped this place. A ruler's pride, a scribe's trembling hand, a coin stamped with the wrong script. Each moment was a turning point, a fork in the road. The city could have survived, could have thrived, but every misstep narrowed its future. You feel the cold wind on your face, the taste of grit on your tongue. The silence is thick, but it's not empty. It's filled with the echoes of what might have been. You turn away, the sting of regret sharp. The past is never as far away as it seems. You descend into a narrow alley, the walls leaning close. The air is heavy, thick with the memory of deals struck and promises broken. You brush past a faded mural, its colors long gone. It shows traders bowing before a ruler, coins piled at his feet. The ruler's eyes are proud, almost defiant. You wonder if he saw the end coming. The locals say he did not. They say he believed his luck would last forever. But luck on the Silk Road is fickle. One bad deal, one insult, and the caravans move on. The city's fate was sealed not by war, but by pride and error. You step into the main square, the wind swirling around you. The silence is absolute, a final verdict. You pocket the flawed coin, feeling its weight. Every empty street is a warning, a lesson written in gold and dust. You glance toward the horizon, where the next city waits, and the story begins again. You're ushered into a dim chamber, where gold changes hands for papal tribute, a payment that binds faith to fortune. You feel a chill that has nothing to do with the wind. Pure. You're standing in a cramped, torchlit chamber in Samarkand, late 12th century, where the air is thick with incense and the metallic tang of anticipation. The walls sweat with the heat of bodies pressed close, merchants and clerics hunched over a battered oak table. You hear the clink of coins, gold, bright as the desert sun, spilling from a velvet pouch onto the scarred wood. Each coin is a promise, a risk, a prayer sent west to Rome, east to Chang'an, or maybe just to keep the peace for one more season. The counting begins, slow and deliberate, as a scribe tallies each piece with a flick of his quill. You can almost taste the tension, sharp as cardamom and cumin swirling in the air. The stakes are clear. These tributes could buy protection from marauders, or spark the next round of suspicion and betrayal. A merchant beside you, his beard dusted with flour from a hurried meal, leans in and mutters, "They say the Pope's men want more this year." His voice is low, wary. You glance at the coins, some gleam with fresh minting, others are worn thin, the faces of forgotten rulers barely visible. The scribe pauses, squinting at a coin inscribed with strange looping lines. He frowns, tapping it with his stylus. The design looks off, the script unfamiliar even to your well-traveled eyes. The merchant shrugs. Some coins come from far-off lands. Who knows if they're real? You sense the room shift, every eye drawn to the odd coin. The scribe turns it over, lips moving as he tries to sound out the markings. A priest, robes heavy with gold thread, steps forward. He lifts the coin, squinting at the script. "This is meant to be Arabic," he says, uncertain. The room stills. The merchant snorts. Looks like a child's attempt at calligraphy. You realize the designer may not have understood Arabic at all. The lines twist in ways no native scribe would dare. The priest shrugs, dropping the coin back into the pile. If it passes by weight, it passes. The logic is medieval, but practical. The scribe records it, but you catch a note of doubt in his eyes. The error is more than cosmetic. It hints at a deeper disconnect between the world of faith and the realities of trade. The coin's journey, you sense, is not over. The word on the coin, manush, rings oddly in your ears. You've heard it whispered in caravanserais from Bukhara to Antioch. Some traders say it means gold dinar in the tongue of distant lands. Others insist it's a code, a signal for deals struck in shadow. Tonight, it's the password that opens doors, or locks them. The merchant grins, teeth flashing. "Manush," he repeats, savoring the word. The priest frowns, uncertain. "It is Arabic, yes?" The scribe hesitates, then nods. You sense the room relax, but only slightly. The word carries weight, both literal and symbolic. It is a bridge between faith and fortune, a single syllable that could tip the balance of power. You watch as the scribe writes manases in his ledger, copying the word from the coin. He pauses, pen hovering. The term has drifted west, mutating with every border crossed. Some believe it comes from manush, the Arabic trader's word for gold. The priest glances at you, as if you might confirm it. You nod, though you're not sure yourself. The ledger is a patchwork of languages, a living map of the Silk Road's tangled roots. Each entry is a risk, a bet that the coin's story will hold up under scrutiny. The scribe sighs, dipping his quill in ink, and the merchant counts his blessings, literally. The chain of trust is as fragile as the parchment beneath your hands. Suddenly, a shout echoes from the corridor outside. The chamber freezes. You catch a whiff of cold wind, sharp with the promise of danger. The merchant sweeps the coins into a sack, eyes darting. The priest gathers his robes, muttering prayers. You feel the old fear rising, the sense that every deal could turn deadly. The scribe snaps his ledger shut. In moments, the chamber empties, leaving only the scent of wax and gold behind. You slip into the shadows, heart pounding. Outside, the city's night market pulses with life, unaware of the drama behind closed doors. The hush before disaster is as thick as the incense smoke curling in your lungs. You duck into a candlelit counting house, the flicker of flames painting gold across the walls. Here, the air is cooler, the tension less raw. A banker, fingers stained with ink, offers you a seat. He slides a tray of coins across the table. You know these? He asks. You study the pile, some marked with crosses, others with crescent moons. The banker points to a coin stamped with manus. It's supposed to mean gold, he says, voice low, but the script is wrong. See? He traces the letters. The designer didn't know Arabic. They copied what they saw, not what they understood. The error is obvious now. The coin is a forgery, but clever enough to pass in the chaos of the bazaar. The banker laughs, shaking his head. Even the best intentions get lost in translation. You pocket the coin, feeling its weight. The room smells of old ledgers and burnt sugar. The banker leans in. Every coin tells a story, he says. This one. It's a warning. You nod, understanding. The Silk Road is a river of stories, each one shaped by hands you'll never meet. The banker pours you a cup of tea, steam curling in the lamplight. The taste is bitter, grounding. You realize that every deal, every tribute, is a gamble. The chain of trust can snap with a single mistake. You sip the tea, savoring the heat, and listen to the market's distant roar. The world outside is always waiting. As you step back into the street, the wind bites at your face, carrying the scent of spices and cold stone. The city is alive, hawkers shouting, camels grumbling, children darting through the crowd. You clutch the coin in your palm, its surface warm from your touch. A woman selling saffron catches your eye. She nods at the coin, recognition flickering in her gaze. Manush, she whispers, as if testing your loyalty. You nod, and she slips a pouch of spice into your hand. The exchange is silent, but loaded. Every transaction is a test, a measure of trust, a wager on the future. The stakes are never just gold. Night presses in as you edge along a jagged gorge in the late medieval dusk. The only light, a sliver of moon, and the wavering glow of lanterns held by your fellow travelers. The wind cuts through your cloak, sharp with the scent of wet stone and distant pine. Your boots slip on slick gravel, and every step echoes with the hush of water rushing below. Suddenly, a shout, then a splash. You spin to see a merchant tumble into the river, his arms flailing. The cold bites instantly, and before anyone can react, he gasps, a sharp, involuntary sound that bounces off the canyon walls. The others freeze, eyes wide. You hear someone whisper, "The syndrome of the drowned." It's a phrase that chills more than the wind. You scramble down the embankment, heart pounding. The water is black, swirling fast. 2 men haul the merchant out, but his lips are blue and his chest barely moves. Someone mutters a prayer. The guide explains, voice low, that even the strongest can be undone by what they cannot see. Later, huddled by a fire, you learn the truth. Hydrocution. It's not a curse, but a hidden peril of these journeys. When icy water shocks the body, it can trigger an involuntary gasp, flooding the lungs and ending a life in seconds. You realize that along the Silk Road, death hides in more than bandits or storms. It lurks in the very elements you trust. As dawn breaks, the caravan moves on, shaken but determined. The loss hangs over you, a silent warning. The path narrows, winding between sheer cliffs. Traders murmur about the dangers ahead, but their hands still brush the pouches at their belts, feeling for the comfort of gold coins. The shimmer of dinars, cold manouche in the bustling bazaars, reminds you why so many risk this road. Each coin carries the promise of fortune, but also the weight of history. The word itself, manouche, is whispered with reverence, its origins tangled in Arabic and legend. Some say it means monies or gold. Others claim it refers to a specific type of Islamic dinar that once ruled these markets. You pass a ruined watchtower, its stones slick with morning dew. A weathered merchant sidles up, jingling a pouch. He presses a coin into your palm. Its surface is worn, the script half erased by centuries of trade. You squint at the markings, curved lines meant to be Arabic, but something feels off. The merchant grins, missing 2 teeth. "Not all who mint coins understand the words," he says. "Some just copy what they see." You turn the coin over, tracing the errors with your thumb. The letters are jumbled, the meaning lost. It's a reminder that even in the heart of commerce, confusion reigns. The designer, you suspect, never learned the language he tried to imitate. The road widens into a valley, and the air warms. Spices ride the breeze, cinnamon, cumin, and a hint of dried apricots. You catch sight of a caravanserai, its walls thick and inviting. Inside, the shadows flicker with lamplight. Merchants haggle in a dozen tongues, their voices rising and falling like the wind. You find a corner near the fire, watching as a group of crusaders enters, their armor dulled by travel. They move with purpose, eyes scanning the room. Tension crackles. One of them claps a local nobleman on the back, then gestures to his companions. You realize they're not just passing through. They're here for leverage. A hush falls as the crusaders gather several high-ranking traders and noblemen, seating them apart from the crowd. The innkeeper's hands tremble as he pours wine. You overhear a whispered explanation. The Crusaders have taken hostages to ensure their own safety. It's a brutal but effective tactic. In these uncertain times, trust is scarce, and alliances shift like desert sand. The captives sit stiffly, eyes darting between their captors and the door. You wonder how many deals have been sealed or broken under similar threats. Later, you slip outside, the cold air bracing after the heat of the fire. The moon is high, silvering the stones. You finger the coin in your pocket, still puzzling over its strange script. A scholar leans against the wall, watching you. The term manus, he says quietly, comes from manush. But the meaning has changed over time. You nod, recalling the merchant's words. In the labyrinth of medieval trade, even language is a shifting currency. Manus, manush, each word a clue to lost empires, forgotten fortunes. A gust of wind scatters dust across the courtyard. You shiver, thinking of the drowned merchant. Even now, his absence is felt, a reminder that every journey along the Silk Road is a gamble. The stakes are high. The choices of traders and rulers ripple outward, shaping destinies far beyond these mountains. You glance back at the caravanserai, its windows glowing like embers. Inside, deals are struck, alliances forged, and secrets traded for gold. Outside, the cold wind carries whispers of what has been lost and what might still be found. The night deepens. You return to your bedroll, the coin clutched in your hand. The errors on its face seem to mock your certainty. In this world, even the symbols of wealth are riddled with mystery. You close your eyes, listening to the distant murmur of voices, the creak of wagon wheels, the steady pulse of the river below. Tomorrow, the road will call again, promising new dangers and discoveries. But for now, you drift between waking and sleep, caught in the shimmering uncertainty of the lost cities of the Silk Road. Samarkand, late 12th century. The city hums under a sky brushed with indigo, and you're wedged between a velvet-draped spice stall and a table stacked with hammered gold coins. The bazaar pulses with life. Lanterns swing overhead, throwing flickers on faces and fortunes alike. The air is thick with cinnamon, cumin, and the tang of sweat from camels outside the city gate. You catch the glint of manouche gold dinars, passing from hand to hand, each coin a silent promise of power or ruin. Here, deals are made with a nod, a sly smile, and sometimes a knife pressed beneath the table. Your heart thrums with anticipation. Every sense is on high alert, tuned to the sound of a coin's drop or the subtle shift in a merchant's tone. Tonight, you're not just a bystander. You're a trader, palms itching for profit, eyes darting for advantage. The stakes, everything. One misstep, and you could be ruined, or worse, forgotten like the silent ruins beyond the city walls. The line between glory and oblivion is as thin as a single night's profit. The city's counting houses are candlelit and tense. Clerks hunched over ledgers, their fingers stained with ink and the faint gleam of gold dust. In the next room, a deal sours. Voices rise. You taste the metallic tang of fear, mingling with the sweet promise of spice. The market's hush before a disaster is almost sacred, as if the city itself holds its breath. You slip through the crowd, drawn by the scent of roasted lamb and the sharper aroma of opportunity. A merchant beckons you closer, his robe heavy with embroidery, his eyes sharper than any blade. He whispers about manouche, Islamic gold dinars, minted with precision, coveted from Cairo to Kashgar. The word itself is a passport, a signal that you belong. But there's more. The term manouches is believed to have sprung from this very word, echoing through ledgers and lips across continents. Every coin bears not just a ruler's face, but the weight of 1,000 vanished deals. The merchant's fingers dance over the coins, each one a story, each one a risk. Suddenly, the crowd parts. A group of foreign knights strides through, their armor clinking, faces set in grim determination. You recognize the tension. Crusaders, far from home, their fortunes tied to the whims of distant kings. They've taken high noblemen hostage, a desperate gamble to ensure their own safety. The bazaar's mood shifts. Deals pause. You feel the cold wind of uncertainty, the kind that sweeps through ancient trade routes just before disaster. The stakes have changed. Now, every transaction is shadowed by the possibility of violence or opportunity. You grip your purse tighter, every sense alive to the shifting balance of power. At the edge of the market, a hush falls. A caravan from the east arrives, its camels heavy with silk and secrets. The traders' faces are lined with dust and caution. They bring news of a city lost to sandstorms, its markets swallowed overnight. You feel the chill. One night's misfortune, and a city vanishes. Its gold, its spices, its stories. The lesson is clear. Here on the Silk Road, glory is fleeting, and ruin waits just beyond the next dune. The shimmer of coins in the dim light is both promise and warning. You duck into a shadowy caravanserai, the air cooler, thick with the scent of old leather and wet stone. The walls are etched with graffiti, names, prayers, curses in 6 languages. You settle at a low table. A scholar leans in, voice low. He tells you about hydrocution syndrome, a sudden gasp, an involuntary reflex, and a life snuffed out in water. It's a danger as real as any bandit's blade. The parallel isn't lost on you. Here, a single misjudgment, a gasp, a deal gone wrong, and you're lost, swept away in the current of history. The scholar's eyes glint with irony. Survival, he says, is never guaranteed. Outside, the bazaar roars back to life. A juggler tosses knives. A child darts past, clutching a fistful of dates. The scent of incense and roasting chestnuts mingles in the air. You scan the crowd, searching for familiar faces and threats. The market is a living thing, its rhythms unpredictable. Every trader has a secret, every coin a hidden history. You overhear a deal struck in hurried whispers. The buyer's hand shakes. The seller's smile is too wide. You sense a twist coming, the kind that can upend fortunes in a heartbeat. A sudden commotion draws your attention. A nobleman's retinue surges forward, demanding passage. The crowd resists. Tension crackles. You edge closer, heart pounding. The nobleman's guards brandish swords, their eyes hard. The crowd hesitates, then surges back, parting like water. The retinue sweeps through, trailing rumors and resentment. In their wake, the market's energy shifts. You feel the ripple, fear, envy, opportunity. The city's fate hangs on moments like this. You retreat to a quieter alley, the walls cool and damp. A money changer sits behind a battered table, scales balanced with precision. He weighs your coins, his gaze never leaving your face. You notice the subtle tremor in his hand, the sweat beading on his brow. He tells you of a city, once rich, now silent, where a single night storm erased centuries of wealth. The lesson is sharp. Here, fortunes are measured not just in gold, but in the risks you dare to take. The money changer slides your coins back, a silent nod to the dangers lurking just beyond the lamplight. As night deepens, the bazaar's energy shifts. Lanterns flicker, casting long shadows. The air grows colder, the scents sharper. You sense the city's heartbeat slowing, the market's secrets settling into silence. Yet, beneath the calm, tension simmers. Traders whisper of lost caravans, vanished rulers, and fortunes paid in ancient gold. You realize that every choice here, every risk, every deal, echoes through history. The line between glory and oblivion is razor thin. You step into the darkness, senses alive, the shimmer of gold coins still bright in your memory. The next tale waits, just beyond the reach of the lamplight. You're hunched on a woven mat in the back of a Samarkand counting house, late 11th century. The air is thick with the scent of burnt tallow and cardamom. A merchant, his beard flecked with gold dust, leans close. He's spinning tales, his voice low but urgent. You catch the glint of coins as he gestures, some ancient, some freshly struck, all heavy with legend. The candlelight flickers, casting shadows that dance like ghosts across the ledgers. You listen, half skeptical, half spellbound. In this world, every rumor could tip the scales of fate. Tonight's story is about a vanished ruler, a lost sword, and a fortune paid in coins stamped with strange looping script. The merchant claims these coins were called manush in local markets, prized for their purity and weight. You frown, remembering a lesson from a grizzled caravan master. Manush, he said, is the Arabic word for Islamic gold dinars. He'd spat the word like a challenge, daring you to prove him wrong. The merchant's eyes narrow, watching you weigh the tale. You finger a battered coin, its edge worn smooth by centuries of trade. The script is elegant, but something's off. The letters twist in ways that feel unfamiliar. The merchant leans in, whispering. The term manus, what you traders call it, comes from manush. He grins, waiting for your reaction. You recall another rumor. The errors on these coins suggest the designer didn't understand Arabic script. The letters are beautiful, but they don't make sense. It's as if someone copied the look, not the meaning. The room grows quiet as you turn the coin over. A gust of wind rattles the shutters. You hear the distant clang of a camel bell, then the hush that falls before a deal or a disaster. In the candlelit gloom, you weigh fact against legend. The merchant's tale shimmers with exaggeration, but the coin is real, heavy and cold in your palm. You wonder how many fortunes have turned on such thin threads, a word misunderstood, a symbol misread, a ruler's name lost in translation. The line between truth and rumor feels razor-thin tonight. Suddenly, the merchant's apprentice bursts in, eyes wild. He babbles about a caravan lost to the river, men vanished without a trace. The merchant's face hardens. You remember the warnings, hydrocution syndrome, a sudden gasp when cold water hits warm skin, can drown a man before he has time to scream. The Silk Road is as dangerous as it is rich. Every traveler knows the risks, but the stories never lose their edge. The room holds its breath, waiting for news. You step outside, the night air sharp with spices and smoke. The bazaar is quieter now, but danger lingers at the edges. You pass a group of traders haggling over boats of silk, their voices clipped and wary. One flashes a handful of gold coins. Manush, he boasts, real as the day is long. Another snorts, pointing out the errors in the script. They argue, but you notice how everyone glances at the coins with hungry eyes. In a world where fortunes rise and fall overnight, even a flawed coin can shape destinies. The merchant's tale haunts you as you walk. You recall how some rulers minted coins with deliberate errors, hoping to fool rivals or confuse tax collectors. Others simply hired artisans who couldn't read Arabic, trusting the look of power over the reality. The coins became tokens of ambition, each one a silent gamble. The air is full of secrets. You wonder how many are buried beneath the dust, waiting for a careless hand to uncover them. The stakes are as high as ever. You duck into a caravanserai, the walls thick with centuries of soot. Travelers cluster around low tables, trading stories and suspicions. A Persian scholar claims he can read every coin, but another laughs, pointing out that even the best have been fooled. The debate grows heated. You watch as a young woman produces a gold dinar, its script so mangled it's almost art. The room falls silent, then erupts in laughter. The coin passes from hand to hand, its value shifting with every retelling. Outside, the wind picks up, carrying the scent of distant rain. You pull your cloak tighter, feeling the weight of the coin in your pocket. Every step echoes with the choices of those who came before you. Traders gambled on rumors, rulers risked their names, and artisans left their mark in every flawed curve of script. The Silk Road is a tapestry of mistakes and miracles. You realize that legend and reality aren't enemies here. They're partners in a dance as old as the trade routes themselves. A sudden shout breaks your reverie. A group of guards rushes past, chasing a thief who clutches a pouch of coins. The crowd parts, then closes in behind them, curiosity and greed mingling in the air. You catch a glimpse of the thief's face, young, desperate, alive with the same hunger that drives every deal in this city. The guards vanish into the maze of alleys. You wonder if the coins are real, or if the thief has risked everything for a handful of clever fakes. The uncertainty lingers, sharp as the cold wind. Back at the counting house, the merchant pours you a cup of sweet tea. He leans across the table, voice low. Every coin has two stories, he says. One stamped in gold, the other whispered in shadow. You nod, feeling the truth in his words. The shimmer of gold in the candlelight, the scent of spices, the hush before a deal. These are the threads that bind legend and reality. You know that every step you take on the Silk Road is a gamble, every story a clue to a mystery that may never be solved. As the night deepens, you tuck the flawed coin into your pouch. Its weight, a reminder that the secrets of the lost cities are never far from reach. Dawn creeps over the crossroads, and you stand at the edge of a city that no longer appears on any map. The air is brisk, thick with the scent of last night's embers and the promise of spice-laden caravans just out of sight. Traders shuffle past, their eyes darting between the ruins and the horizon, as if searching for ghosts. The sand here isn't just sand, it's a blanket, swallowing the bones of old roads and the secrets they carried. You feel the weight of what's forgotten pressing on your shoulders, as if every lost deal and vanished ruler is watching. You tighten your cloak against the chill and step into the remains of a once bustling bazaar. The stones beneath your feet are worn smooth by centuries of hurried bargains. Somewhere, a merchant's bell rings, echoing off broken arches. The market smells of cardamom, sweat, and something metallic, maybe blood, maybe coins. You notice a glint among the rubble, a gold coin, oddly shaped, its script both familiar and wrong. You pick it up, tracing the letters. The design is beautiful, but the Arabic is a mess. Whoever made this, you think, didn't understand the language at all. It's a forgery, but a clever one, meant to fool a buyer who's never seen the real thing. The errors aren't just mistakes, they're clues to the city's undoing. You pocket the coin, feeling its cold weight. As you move deeper, the bazaar opens into a candle-lit counting house. The room hums with tension. Ledgers pile high, and men in silk robes argue over numbers in a dozen languages. One clerk, his hands stained with ink, mutters about ransom and betrayal. The story spills out. Crusaders, desperate for safe passage, took high noblemen hostage. Not just any nobles, but the kind whose absence could topple thrones. The city's rulers thought they could negotiate, but every deal only brought new risks. You imagine the hush before a deal, how a single word could change everything. The stakes here aren't just gold, they're power, trust, and survival. Outside, the wind picks up, carrying dust and whispers along the old trade route. You follow the path to a shadowy caravanserai, its walls pitted by time. Inside, travelers huddle around a fire, swapping tales of vanished kingdoms and sudden deaths. Someone mentions hydrocution syndrome, how a splash of cold water can trigger an involuntary gasp, pulling a strong swimmer under. The room grows quiet. You realize that even the most seasoned traders feared more than bandits or betrayal. Sometimes it was the invisible dangers that claimed the boldest souls. A scribe leans in, sharing a word, manus. He says it's believed to come from the Arabic manush, meaning human. The term lingers in your mind, echoing through the candlelit gloom. You wonder how many words, like cities, have been lost or twisted beyond recognition. Language here is a living thing, shaped by trade, conquest, and misunderstanding. Every mispronounced syllable is a thread in the Silk Road's tapestry. You step outside again, the cold wind biting. The city's outline blurs as the sun rises higher. You picture the choices made here, traders hedging bets, rulers gambling with lives, designers guessing at foreign scripts. Each decision shaped fortunes and destinies. Some mistakes left only a ripple, others a crater. The sand at your feet holds the evidence, if you know how to look. You hear a merchant laugh, his voice echoing off empty walls. Even in ruin, the city refuses to be silent. You pause at the edge of the ruins, watching a group of children chase each other through the dust. Their laughter rings out, clear and defiant. They dart past a toppled statue, its face worn smooth by centuries of wind. You realize these streets once teemed with life, bargains struck, alliances forged, secrets whispered under the cover of night. The city may be lost, but its spirit lingers in every stone and shadow. A sudden gust reveals a mosaic beneath your feet. The tiles are chipped, but the pattern is unmistakable. A map of the Silk Road winding through mountains and deserts. You trace the route with your finger, feeling the cold glass. Each city along the path is marked by a symbol, a coin, a crown, a broken sword. You wonder which cities survived and which were swallowed by sand and silence. You remember stories of rulers who gambled everything on a single caravan. Sometimes they won, flooding the markets with gold and silk. Other times, a single misstep, like trusting the wrong hostage or minting a flawed coin, meant ruin. The Silk Road was never just a road. It was a living gamble, every mile a new risk. You hear footsteps behind you. A weathered trader offers you a cup of bitter tea, his hands shaking. He tells you about the time he lost everything to a storm in the mountains. He laughs, but his eyes are haunted. You sip the tea, feeling its warmth cut through the morning chill. In this world, survival is never guaranteed. Luck and cunning are as valuable as gold. As the sun climbs, the city's secrets seem to shimmer in the heat. You walk past crumbling walls, each stone a silent witness. You think of the crusaders and their hostages, the flawed coins, the drowned traders, the words twisted by time. Every mystery is a thread, and you are tangled in the weave. You stop at a gate half buried by sand. The arch is carved with names you can't quite read. You run your fingers over the letters, feeling the grooves. Some are sharp, others worn smooth. You realize that history isn't just written in books. It's carved in stone, minted in coins, whispered in marketplaces. Every detail matters, even the ones that don't make sense at first. A caravan approaches, bells jingling. The traders look wary, scanning the ruins for danger. You step aside, watching as they unload boats of silk, sacks of spices, and chests that clink with coins. One merchant drops a coin, and it rolls to your feet. You pick it up, examining the script. It's another forgery, the letters twisted and uncertain. You hand it back, and the merchant shrugs. In this world, even money is a mystery. You wander through the city's heart, past a fountain choked with sand. The air is thick with the scent of cinnamon and old stone. You hear snatches of conversation, deals struck, promises broken, rumors swirling like dust devils. Every voice adds to the city's story, a chorus of ambition and regret. You find yourself at a crossroads, the old road stretching in 4 directions. Each path is lined with broken columns and faded mosaics. You feel the pull to choose, to keep searching for answers. The Silk Road's mysteries are never far if you know where to listen. You take a deep breath, the air sharp and clean. The city behind you is silent now, but its secrets hum in your bones. You know that every lost city leaves a mark, a lesson waiting to be uncovered. The journey isn't over. You walk away from the ruins, the sun warm on your back. The road ahead is uncertain, but you carry the weight of history with you. Every step is a question, every shadow a clue. The Silk Road calls, its secrets waiting beneath the sand. You glance back one last time. The city shimmers in the morning light, half real, half memory. You smile, knowing that the past is never truly lost. It waits for those willing to listen, to search, to remember. You move forward, the wind at your back, the scent of spices in the air. The world is wide, and the mysteries of the Silk Road are endless. But today, you have unraveled one more thread, and that is enough.